Oh, hi. You're right, Jennifer.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Welcome to Tama's podcast. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Can you see and hear me okay?
I can see you okay. Can you see me okay? Can you hear me?
I can see and hear you well.
Perfect. So, again, once more time, welcome to Tama's podcast. So, can you please introduce yourself fully?
Okay, who am I? I am human. This is not a robot. It's not AI.
Yes?
I am Jennifer G. Robinson, and I am the founder director of Women of the Lens Film Festival. And I am also a social media consultant in
Wow,
the latest iteration of my life.
that's amazing. So, let's start with so you founded what did you found again? Sorry?
Women of the Lens Film Festival. It's a UK-based film festival that I started in. Well, I got to work in 2016, and we had our debut in 2017. We're going every year since, and in the throes of trying to organize another event this year.
Fantastic. So, how long have you been in the film industry?
Right. So, like I said in my latest iteration, before this, I have been a teacher and I was teaching film studies for quite a little while, long before I formally went back into the industry. But I've been in the industry since I was the festival coordinator for Menelik Shabaz's Film Festival in 2015. So yeah, that's a little bit about, me dabbling in and out of the industry.
That's amazing that you founded something. What made you do that? Why did you found it?
Yeah, well,
The
generally with me, if I can't see what I want, then I'm gonna go and create it myself.
amazing. I saw, I don't know if you saw one of my interviews, but I had the pleasure of having Leon Mann. So he felt the same way in
Yeah,
journalism, and he said he wanted to see changes instead of sitting there and waiting for things to happen. He thought, you know what, wait a minute, I'm gonna make it happen. So that's
yeah.
fantastic. It's very beautiful what he did. So you were a
Mm.
teacher before. I'm a teacher now. So what made you go to
Oh
teaching?
wow, why are you doing that?
I love that.
I love teaching, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love teaching. And I figured that once a teacher, always a teacher. But the way in which I was teaching was not again, it wasn't the way in which I wanted to do it. I wanted to make the kind of changes that I thought were far more beneficial for the students that I was teaching at. And so I left.
Okay.
Eventually, I left with the understanding that, I can teach in other ways. I don't have to do it in that way, which is going to be harmful for students, but also for myself.
Of course, you're totally right. So when did you start becoming a social media, how do you call it, brand
Consultant.
consultant? What did you start
Yeah.
to become a social
So
media?
I started to do that around about 5 years ago. And the reason that I did that is because I obviously work in the film industry and working with filmmakers, independent filmmakers, day in, day out. I could see all the pitfalls that they were making online. I could see all the mistakes that they were making online. And I think that even if you're just starting out, I think you should start out the way in which you need to go forward. And so I began to think, you know what? I could start to move into social media, online on the branding in terms of the film industry. So while I have a broad spectrum of brands that I've engaged with, so I work with charities, I work with personal brands, I work with theatre, I also specialize in film. So that's my kind of scope with the consultancy work.
That's amazing. I feel like you're a woman of many talents. Teacher, consultant, you founder. I mean, I don't know anything else that you're good at that you're doing as well aside of all of
Well,
this.
I'm not dead yet, so there's time to do other stuff.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, you look so radiant, so beautiful. We thought of acting.
Thank you.
I mean, that's fantastic, really is. So, can you tell us some names of people that you collaborated?
Yeah, so I've worked with Atosha film director Tatosha um, Hilton. I've worked with Rebecca Graham. I've also worked with a few. It's on the website actually. I've worked with a few others who I'm trying to nurture as well. So I see Woman of the Lens, the platform, as a place of nurturing of for young people, not just young people, because there are a lot of us who are mid-career as well, and we need a little nurturing and a safe space to kind of build and grow our careers. And so I'm happy to showcase and platform what they do, and that's part of the ethos of Women of the Lens. It's about showcasing, sharing expertise and knowledge.
That's fantastic. Have you thought one day to write a book about, steps to take?
Oh yeah, that's coming. That's coming. That's
Oh,
coming.
look at that. I thought about it and it's coming. That's fantastic. I feel
Yeah.
like you have so much to give. I mean, already you're doing so much already, but a book, you know, I'm so happy that you thought about that. I mean, what made you think about that before I mention it?
Because, like you say, and a lot of people will say the same things, there's just so much. I can't deliver it in one go. And
No.
the way in which that makes me feel better is the knowledge that, you know what, you can do this in stages. You don't have to do it all in one go. You can do it in stages. And so, writing a book or a how-to or a planner or something like that is something that I'm looking to do to start from about mid-year this year, later on this year. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I saw that you worked with Aisha Scott. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Aisha
Aisha
Scott?
Scott is she's another trailblazer. Like she's another filmmaker that I've worked with, and she's been doing. She's another one who I admire, and what I mean by that is she's not sitting around waiting for anyone to do anything for her. She's knocking on doors. Where that door is shut, she will try and find another way for herself, and I like that, and I would like people to take that on board. I'm not saying that you need to beat yourself up or think that you have to do everything all by yourself. Not at all. But if your frustration is such that it's making you uncomfortable, you need to do something about it.
Yeah, that's exactly what she's doing. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
through her that I get to know you. And I was like, oh, so you're such an
Yeah.
interesting person. Yeah, because I interviewed her, and then you you did something with her as well. And I said, oh, this is amazing. That's
Yeah.
why I started contacting you. I think it was about December. And I said,
Yeah.
what you do is fantastic. And I said, I need to have you as well on my podcast. It's
Well, it's
really,
lovely to be here with you. I mean, you're doing sterling work already, and you're teaching as well and doing this, so you understand that we're multifaceted, we're multi-leveled. There are lots of different things that we can do. Some things won't be as successful, but it is in the trying where you will find the sweet spot.
that's true. I mean, I was telling Aisha Scott, I don't know if you saw our interview. I was in the film industry for a while, but it
Okay,
was getting to the point that it was really, really hard to maintain that and having kids. It was
that
really hard.
Yeah, that is one of the troubling elements that you see in the film industry, certainly in the UK, and the data bears this out, is that people start, but to have a sustained career, that is the tough thing to do. And a lot of people fall out for the reason that you say, we have to keep the roofs over our heads, we have other dependents and things like that. So I think that the data bears out and it is really tough. But again, I think that's why another reason why I created the platform for Women of the Lens is that it's not just for young people starting out, it's also for those people who are, in the middle of their careers and they're still trying to hold on and hang on and whether it's we provide inspiration or a little bit of comfort or a little bit of a soft landing, then I've done my job.
Yes, yes. I wish you were there 10 years ago. For me, but you're here now,
Uh,
it's never late.
no, absolutely, absolutely.
That's fantastic. So you reach out to women, like doesn't matter the color, the background, or you have a specific type of woman.
Primarily, well, you know what? Primarily, I focus on British Black women because at the time, certainly, I saw that there was a gap, as you know.
Yeah.
But since our launch, we've been approached by all different manner of people, and I love that because, as far as I'm concerned, a story is a story. I've been listening to other kinds of people's stories all my life. My story is good too. Stories
Yes,
from people that look like me is good too. You can hear my story, but I get to tell it the way that I want to tell it. I get to tell it as many times as I want to tell it. You can come, you're invited, you can be my guest. You know, I'm a very hospitable host. It's lovely. And then you can take that story away and get a better understanding of different kinds of people. And that's another primary tenet for Women of the Lens. So yeah, I've screened films from Europe. I've screened a couple of films from China. I've screened films from Australia and New Zealand. So it's from women of color across the globe. I'm really interested in their stories and how they manage their day-to-day lives in this world. So
that's
yeah.
fantastic. I feel like you have so much that you're doing already that giving, but I feel like there's even more coming. I love your the way your hospitality, the way you welcome people from all backgrounds. It's like you said, a story is
Yeah,
a story. Exactly.
absolutely. Absolutely. Whether or not I step on a few stories, a few feet, a story is a story. I don't label it as black or white or anything else in between. You're a human being. I want to hear your story. Of course, I want to be able to be in a position to tell my story because I think that far too often people have already told my story and I haven't had any input in that. And that's the other thing. I'm I'm interested in stories where Black women are the primary driver of that story, whether they are in front of the camera or behind the camera, because that's the other thing. I'm equally interested in what is going on behind the camera. So, who are the directors? Who are the writers? Who are the producers? You know, who's involved in that creative process that has an input on the characters that we see in front of the screen. So that's equally important for me.
So, what do you think about? I mean, I don't know if they are stopped, but the writer strikes has it stopped yet, or is it still ongoing?
Parts of it has stopped, but there is still the another ongoing part of it. And I think that when we were in the thick of it last year, it was a fantastic way to see how the whole industry is connected across the world because it really had knock-on effects, certainly in the UK. You know, so many sets had to shut down. And, sadly, it was another impact on people being able to stay and work in the industry. And there are a lot of people who have had to leave because of it. But some of it has been resolved, some of it hasn't. A lot of it is still ongoing. I think a lot of it has been resolved because of some of the big awards events that we've got coming up as well,
Yes,
as you
and
know.
yes, you're totally right. What do you think about the huge pay gap between black actors and white actors? I mean, I know it's a big fat topic, but I have to be honest with you. When I read, about some stories, I'm shocked that we're in the 21st century and this is still happening. Like, what is it? What is it going to take to have equal pay? What is it going to take?
I think that we're in a position to be able to leverage what power we have. So I think that's something that can be used as a to use foot forward. So where we have our agents, we need to have those people really rally on our behalf, look at the work, the body of work we've been. I think some of it is down to particularly when you look at A-list Black actors, they aren't necessarily having the same sorts of scripts put in front of them. So there
Yeah.
is that disparity, and that would then mean that they're not going to get the opportunity to earn that kind of money. So it's a multifaceted thing, and I cannot understand where that questioning is coming from when you're thinking about some of the productions that we've got in the cinema at the moment, which has highlighted that Black actors are getting less than, let's say, their counterparts. And that has always been the case. What we're going to do about it, I think that a lot of that is to do with what I'm doing, trying to make my own contribution to making that change so that things can close up, looking at different kinds of partnerships that provide opportunity, and so on and so forth. So I'm
Yes.
not going to, I'm not going to down tools just because there is this barrier, and I'll keep going on.
Well, I just hope that, this is my wish that one day there's going to be some sort of equality because you are part of the same film, director, producer, and all of that. So why is it that some are getting more than you? And then, as some actors said, when you take away the taxes, when you take away the fees of agents, so you are basically left with nothing much, really. So all
Yeah.
your hard work,
And I think, yeah, I think it's also good that we're actually talking about this now and it's out in the open. When you aren't having the discussion and the discourse and it's behind closed doors, it's difficult to make an assessment of what's going on. But now it's come out in the open again. I think it's another opportunity for us to kind of look at where these disparities are and ask questions. Because I think that it being highlighted has given not so much permission, but it has given people that a little bit more, you know what, let me ask that question
yeah,
before I sign on the dotted line. So I'm
yes.
glad that it's out in the open a little bit more again.
Yes, me too. I have to say, I was quite shocked. I was hoping that wouldn't be the case. I mean, I believe I didn't want to believe it, but now the facts are there, and I hope that this, as you said, this discussion is going to be, bring it up front of give the actors or black directors, black actors what they deserve. They work as hard, so
Sure. Sure. And I also think that it's another opportunity to show people that are joining the industry new and fresh is that this is a business. You
yeah,
know, it is business. So you need to be business minded. Don't
yes,
come here and play games. And
yes.
nobody else is. So don't you do that.
Exactly. That's why I like that's why you come in because you're the type of person that can guide people, that can open their mind and their eyes to what they
Sure.
exactly they're getting into. So we need
Sure, yeah.
more people like you. Have you thought about expanding, like not just the UK, but expanding a bit, worldwide?
Do you know what? I have absolutely thought about that. Like, if you're a creative person, I'm sure you are, your mind is never turned off. It's
No.
just about where am I going to get all the time to do all this stuff? And
Yes,
you
yes,
have to be careful because if you try and do too many things at all at once, you will burn yourself out, you will make yourself tired, and that will mean that it will take away your energy from the things that you've already got going. So I've become more peaceful with the decisions that I make in that knowing that um, there will be time to do the other thing. So focus my energy on what I'm doing now, giving it my best performance, knowing that I've done well with that. Once it's completion, I can move on
yes.
and take people on board with me too. I like to be able to provide opportunity for other people too where I can.
That's fantastic. Honestly, I want to say, Jennifer, a big thank you for your time. I really love what you
Thank
do. And thank you for, accepting my invitation because we don't know each other. But the fact that you say, yes, let's do this, it showed me the type of person you are, so open, so welcoming, and so generous. So I want to say,
Thank
thank you.
you. Thank
My
you.
last question would be, what would you advise young people that one day would like to do like be a social media consultant or found their own film festivals? What would you say to them?
Well, let me speak to the social media consultancy. And what I would do is I was kind of, just to be brief, to split it really into three areas.
Yeah.
And the first area I would say, it's not limited to this, but because it's a broad subject, but to break it down, I would say that there are three areas. And the first area is communication. You've got to have communication skills off the chart. And that is the tangible skills like the written skills, the verbal skills. And then there are the skills that you can't see, the communication skills you can't see. So you've got to be able to try and read body language and read what is not being said because you're going to listen. You're trying to listen, not this listening. You're doing this listening when people are speaking to you so that you can kind of gauge where they are when they come to you with the challenges that they have with their online presence, with their brand. That will really help to make you successful.
Yes.
The second area I would say is your creative skills. And once you've developed those skills, this is where you're able to provide strategy, you can organize, and you can plan and then create. And that will give you the creativity, the ability to artistically create. So it would be good if you have good creative skills, and your creative skills will be unique. So don't worry that you're in the industry and you've provided a strategy or a plan for one of your clients and it's different to what somebody else would do. That's fine because creativity is unique. Yeah. And
Yes.
the third area I would say is around the business element of it, particularly if you've been employed for any length of time, there's this mindset that you have to change. So as well as, the primary area, you've got to manage teams, got to do your tax returns, you've got training, you've got contracts, all that methodology of it, you've then got to have that business mindset when you switch on and say, I'm not an employee anymore. I'm in
Yeah.
charge of my own direction and I've got to direct my own pathway. And that's where you have to take on the mantle of responsibility and accountability, not only for yourself, but any team members that you've got as well. So that's what I would say in a nutshell.
Amazing. Amazing. I love that. You're totally right. Business, everything we do in this life
Yeah.
as grown up is
Yeah.
about business. Accountability. It's not about the money that you make, but the responsibility that comes with that. And I love exactly what you said.
Yeah, yeah, it's a tough one. It really is a tough one to kind of make that mental switch. And don't try and do it all by yourself as well. If you can get, if you can get mentors or people that are on your wavelength, they can help you make that switch. And once you do, I mean, it's a gradual process, but once you're there, it's nice. It's good.
Oh, it's fantastic. I hope I can get to meet you one day because I really like
Yeah,
what
me
you
too.
yeah, you look friendly and
I
you're
am not a
exactly what it says on
robot.
the tin. Exactly what it says on the tin. Thank you so much. Thank you
You're
so much.
very welcome, Sarah. It's so lovely to speak with you. You take care now.
Take care. You too. Thank you again.
Bye bye. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.